So I think the lack of transparency in what happens in the police department can uh, kind of turn people's thinking into ideas that maybe aren't true. For example, when the Helix incident happened in 2018, where a young girl was thrown onto the ground, uh, that report was never made public, and the public thought the police department was hiding something, and it made everyone think the worst possible thing happened when maybe that wasn't the truth. So I think transparency helps get the truth out instead of people thinking of the very worst that could possibly be, which isn't helpful to the police department. So when people are honest and can get information out to the community as quickly as possible, I think that really helps just inform people. Like the students were saying, when if there's a good reason for why they had to use tear gas, maybe the people there deserved it, but we don't know. And when we don't know these things and we don't get a lot of information out about what exactly took place, we just think of the worst case scenario, that maybe the police were not acting appropriately, but again, we don't have all the information, which is unfortunate. So transparency, I think, is really important to build trust and build relationships.
I want to thank you so much for that, Janet. The district attorney in San Diego is Summer Stefan, and she addressed this issue of transparency. Now, she hasn't addressed it in terms of policy change, but one of the solutions that someone offered about the lack of transparency, for example, the lack of transparency that many residents also discuss outside of, all right, this footage, why aren't you releasing the footage, is, well, there seems to be this blue wall of silence where you all stick together. Officers don't get fired. They can do whatever they want. Police are going to circle the wagons and protect that officer, when that's not the case. Officers do get terminated, but the general public doesn't know it. We don't know unless it's an egregious act where an officer, commits a crime. We don't know that there was some form of punishment handed down to an officer who behaved against policy or behaved poorly. So what the solution was, why doesn't law enforcement, each agency, on a quarterly basis, announce a report very publicly that during this quarter, we had X amount of officers that were reprimanded for the things that they did. We had X amount of officers that were relieved of their jobs, to let the general public know that you're policing yourselves too. She liked that idea. It hasn't happened, but it would go a long way to building trust, being transparent, and it's not happening. Not to my knowledge. Most agencies don't have a policy like that.